So we have learned that the Earth is not heated equally. Let me grab my cute little Earth here. Okay, right? So because our Earth is actually tilted on its axis, and because of its because of its revolutions around the sun, it is not always heated equally. So most of the direct sunlight is coming here to the equator. And at different times, right, you'll get summer or winter, depending on if the pole is facing the sun or not. But because of that unequal heating, so the direct sun comes here to the equator and then is dispersed. And so we have indirect and direct. And so not every part of the Earth is going to have the same climates. So we've learned that climates are what it is like there over time. So, right, we know that Utah is not going to be like Nevada, not going to be like California. So, right, everywhere has a little bit different climate that you can expect when you go there. So we're going to talk about what happens, where can you expect it to be warm, and what will happen as you travel away from that direct sunlight. So you are going to need 4 colors, and they need to be these 4 colors. So you need blue for cold, you need a green for temperate, you need yellow for warm, and you need red for tropical. You need those 4. It's like always so handy when we need 4 things, right? So blue, green, yellow, red. When you have those 4 colors, come back. Seriously, get those 4 colors, not 4 random ones, those 4 colors, and then come back. Okay, so you should be back with these 4 colors now. And so, right, our Earth is heated, and the most direct sunlight is going to that equator. Now, our map looks a little, right, we would want to draw our equator through the middle of this line, and that would put like almost Utah right here. So our Earth actually has a lot more land up on the northern hemisphere, right? Like most of the land that we see on the Earth is going to be on the north. There's not as much land on the southern part of the Earth. So our equator is not just through the middle here. Our equator is actually down here. Our equator kind of goes through here. So we are going to start with our red. So this section here, and I expect yours to be colored so much nicer than mine. I am coloring with a mouse and a big fatty like digital marker, okay? You can color much nicer than me. So all of this right here is surrounding the equator and is going to be in that tropical climate zone. So there's the little tip right here. These islands right through here are in the tropical climate zone. Okay, so all of these through. And then our northern part of Australia is also going to be in this tropical climate zone, which we will learn about more in just a second. So we just want to understand where it is. So anything just north and south of the equator is going to be in that tropical climate zone. Oh, I kind of missed these 2 little islands right there. So tropical right across here. So get those tropical, and then we're going to go to the warm climate zone. So, right, just on north and south of our tropical climate zone, we are going to have our warm climate zone. So it is going to go here and down. So like this is part of Mexico, like the lower United States, Texas, Florida, California, right? We know those places are known to be warm places. So then we've got up here the northern part of Africa. Also got this southern part here. Oh, here's Italy, that little boot there. Okay, we've got these parts here. So it kind of cuts across Europe and Asia right there. So then all of this through here in the Middle East is going to be that nice warm climate zone. So just a reminder, your coloring should look much nicer than mine does. So about that yellow going through there. So that's the northern part that has a nice warm climate zone. We've also got some going across the southern part of the hemisphere. So the bottom part of South America has a warm climate zone. The very tip of Africa does. We've got this island here. And then the lower part of Australia is going to have a warm climate zone here. So here is all of our warm areas. So, right, they're not going to be super hot all the time. So I think kind of California is a good example of that. It's more I can expect to be warm. In the winter, it'll cool down a little bit, but not enough that we can expect snow there. Okay, so now we're going to go into our temperate. So temperate means it's going to change. I kind of think like, right, it has a bad temper, right? How's it going to react? So we live in a temperate climate zone. We get summer, spring, winter, fall. This is our 4 seasons. We are constantly changing. You can expect to see all 4 seasons in these places. So you can notice here, right, in the southern part, we are running out of land. So this very tip here can get all 4 seasons. And right there, and then these little islands right over here get all 4 seasons. And that is the only part on the southern hemisphere that has a temperate climate, because the rest is just ocean. There's just not enough land to be temperate. So the ocean, right, is temperate. And so this is not somewhere like you'd probably want to go swimming. It's going to be cold there, but there's just not land to have, to keep track of. So then on our northern part, so this is where we are. So up right into here, like here's Alaska, Canada. So we're kind of right here, like almost on the, like Utah's right here, kind of on the border. So like if we go down south into like St. George, you might find them toward the yellow, right? They don't get as much snow as we do. So they're right kind of there on that border where we're just a little bit up above. We're going to see all 4 of those seasons there. So all the way over across. So we've got like New York, Chicago, the Dakotas, all of the Midwest here. All we experience 4 seasons: summer, spring, winter. Summer, spring, winter, fall? I don't know why I said them in that order. I don't know why I do the things I do. Okay, so here we have Greenland, and the very tip of Greenland is going to experience those 4 seasons, partly due to the ocean that is around it. And this island here in the middle, and then anything below this line is going to experience those 4 seasons. But again, right, the farther north it is, it's not going to get as hot. It's going to get colder. So that heat is distributing that way. So all of this is going to be green. Your coloring should look much nicer than mine. So if you need to pause the video, be sure to do that. So, right, all of this is green, color nicer than I am. Please, you'll be so sad when you have to pay me to get a new one of these papers when you scribble. That will be so, so sad. Okay, so, right, all of this. So the higher up I go, the colder it is going to be. They're going to have more snow in the winter. It's not going to get as hot in the summer. The lower you go, the warmer it will be in the winter, the hotter their summers will be, right? That the sun is giving that direct heat to our equator, and more or less as we go toward the poles, depending on are we tipped toward the sun or away from the sun. Okay, so then our last climate zone is our cold climate zone. It can also be called polar sometimes. So also, I guess I should mention within these, there's lots of different subcategories. So it's not just tropical, right? I can have like rainforest tropical. There's like all sorts of different ones. Like you can have within a warm one, you can have deserts, you can have savannas, you could have marshes. So lots of different ones. These are just the general due to their temperature because of the direct and indirect heating. So down here at the southern hemisphere, we have Antarctica, and that is our cold polar climate zone here. And then at the top, you can see we have a lot more land mass that is going to be cold and frozen here. So then we've got all of these little polar ice cap places that sound terrible to live, but I think people do sometimes. So, right, all of these are going to be nice and cold and frozen places. They're not going to get a ton of sunlight throughout the year. And even when they do, they're still far enough north that it's just that indirect sunlight still. So then all of Greenland, I did not do a good job tracing that part, right, is going to be cold. So it's very deceiving. They want you to think it's so nice and green. And then we've got these over here. Okay, and then up here, like into Russia and places like that, North Asia, very cold places. They sound miserable. Places I never want to go. So I'm sure there's nice people, but cold weather. So all of these have that polar cold climate. Okay, so once you have your map nicely colored, we've got one more little part to fill out on our map. So we've got these average temperatures, just to give us kind of a guide. So in the red area, the tropical area, you can usually expect the temperatures to be anywhere from 70 to 90 degrees, sometimes hotter, sometimes colder, right? This is just our average. So always warm, it's never going to snow there. I just don't think it's going to happen. So in our warm areas, our averages, right? So it's going to get a lot hotter. So I think like Las Vegas is in a warm zone. Phoenix, Arizona is in a warm zone. It gets 120 degrees there. So, right, it also gets lower in the winter. So these are the average. We're taking the high and the low, and we're kind of finding that middle area. So it gets hotter, it gets colder. We're finding that middle area. So in our temperate zones, we can, right, so we're a temperate zone. We know we get hotter than 65 degrees. We get 100 degrees in the summer. Today when I came to work, it was like 6 degrees. We get a lot colder than 32 degrees. So our average, just that middle range, right, we're kind of in the 50s, 60s if we're talking average overall throughout the year. And then our cold polar zones, right, they're never getting above freezing really. I mean, maybe some days they are, but as a rule, they're really not. They're getting way down into the negatives, or you should not go outside. Negative 43 is one of their averages. That means they're getting down way into the negatives for that to be an average. So make sure you write those down and include those as part of your climate zones. So make sure it is nicely colored.